50s.
Welcome back into the Friday Night Phone Board. AC/DC coming back out of that break. We're brought to you in part by Matt Studer and Associates at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Kia, Mansfield, just east of the mall. Frank House family at My Floors, flooring, kitchens, and baths, Bucyrus Road on the west edge of Galleon. Jim Sprang, Tom Brown, Sprang Capital Management, 2 blocks south of the square in the heart of Bucyrus' financial district. North Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center in Bucyrus. One more Northern 10 Conference, let's run them all down, heck. Game on WQEL tonight. Mohawk gets a big win at home in boys action. They defeat Colonel Crawford tonight 50-29. Bucyrus gets their first Northern 10 Conference victory of the year as they drop Buckeye Central at Kish Gymnasium this evening, 51-44. Cary goes on the road to Upper Sandusky and holds on to the top spot in the Northern 10 Conference with a 42-34 win. And Winford at home against Seneca East. The Tigers come to Holmes Center Road and steal a victory from the Winford Royals tonight, 67-56. So that gets you up to date on the Northern 10 Conference scores. Let me go back here. Had a nice visit with Davy Jones calling from Florida as we get ready for the 57th Annual Bill Rahm Invitational Tournament. And Bill Rahm Jr., Bill Hansen in studio with me right now. And guys, interesting that you start with 16 tomorrow. And what time do all the festivities kick off tomorrow?
The Parade of Champions is at 12:40, and we'll walk out on the lanes, and Bill will introduce everybody, and then we'll come back and he'll present the Harry Wells Award for the high average, and Mitch Long is in his 40th Invitational out of the 57.
Is that right?
Yeah.
He bowled more than 2/3 of the Invitational, so we got a little thing for him.
Oh, good.
And then the past champion that time will all come off of the lanes, and then the bowlers will take their lanes, and then Bill will go down through after the rolling of the first ball between the service director and the mayor. They'll play the national anthem, and then he'll introduce all the matches, and then we'll start approximately 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, okay. And when we were off air, you told me there's going to be a very special person there tomorrow?
Well, he won't be there, but a friend of my dad's bowled in the 3rd Invitational, which was 56 years ago, and he turns 100 tomorrow.
That's okay. But he won't be there.
No, he won't be there.
But he'll be in your thoughts. The oldest still.
I'm sure the oldest.
Wow.
Bill Rahm bowler.
Do you ever keep in touch with him?
Yeah. His daughter won the ladies' Invitational.
And what is his name again?
Paul Senior.
Okay.
But he used to run. He was the golf pro out at the country club for many, many, many years after the Isleys closed. But they lived across the alley from us, and we grew up together. And he was a really good friend of my dad's. But he made the 3rd one. Back in them days, most of the guys that made it were in their 30s and 40s or late, maybe even 50s. So they were all older men when I was younger. And so a lot of them didn't make it more than 1 or 2 times.
What would you guess, just a guess, what would you guess the average age of the 16 that are in it? Approximately?
I would say somewhere in the 50.
Is that right?
Yeah. We have a couple young bowlers, but most of them are in their, 40s and 50s. Like Mitch is, I think, 65.
Is that right?
And so I would say it would be the early 50s.
And here's why I asked that. As I do Coach's Corner East and filled in a couple times for Coach's Corner West, the bowling teams at the high school level are getting more and more popular. I'm seeing a lot more participation. Right. So my mind starts to think, well, would we see some younger bowlers in this tournament? But it seems like it's the savvy guys that have been around quite a while, right?
Well, we've got 193 bowlers that have bowled in it, and 100 of them have only bowled once.
Really?
Well, maybe not that many. Maybe it's 70. I looked it up, but 70 of them have only bowled once.
Is that right?
So you figure that everybody keeps repeating, and you guys have got. Donnie's got 17 years, and I had 16, and Dean Shields had 30, and Mitch has got 40.
Yeah.
So there isn't a lot of turnover.
Holy
We get about
smokes.
we get about 3 to 4 rookies a year out of the 16 bowlers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this year
So-
we have 4 rookies.
Who are they? Who are the rookies this year?
The rookies this year
There's
are
Eric Baldinger, there's
Braden Bruner,
Braden Bruner,
Tony Hupfer,
Tony Heffler, and
Jacob Derry.
Jacob Derry.
Okay. Now, do you get a sense that they're a little nervous maybe going into this, or are they pretty relaxed, or how do they deal with that?
Well, I would say they're probably a little apprehensive because they're going one-on-one with the person as opposed to bowling with 4 other guys on their team and competing against them during the week. This is a little different format when you're up against one person and the transition of the lanes changes a little differently than what you do in league. So, after the first few balls that when they're practicing, may see some signs of, some jitteriness, but, once they get started, they're concentrating.
They're locked in, yeah.
I talked to my dad, and I've told him it's not the best bowler that year. It's the guy that's the luckiest, because there's so many times that the high average bowler doesn't win it. I bet you probably 1 out of 3 times the higher average bowler loses or wins the Bill Rahm.
Is that right?
2 out of 3 they probably lose.
Wow.
So it isn't necessarily the best bowler. It's the guy that hits the right people at the right time or gets the hottest. And Dean Hughes always used to tell me, he says, I want to have a bad spell about a week or 2 before the Bill Rahm and get it out of my system.
Yeah, that's a good point. Visiting with Bill Rahm Jr. and Bill Hansen, representing the 57th Annual Bill Rahm Invitational Bowling Tournament taking place at Suburban Lanes tomorrow. You're going to start with 16 bowlers. You're going to pare that down to 8 by the end of Sunday, right?
Right.
And then the following weekend, you'll get it down to the final 2 after Sunday, and then you'll finish up with your finals on Saturday, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
The 25th.
25th.
Right.
And you have, if I understand correctly, you have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket, and bowlers can come out of the loser's bracket to get to the finals, right?
Yeah.
One bowler will come out of the loser's bracket.
That's automatic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are fortunate enough to stay in the winner's bracket, you only bowl 4 times. And if you're in the loser's bracket, you have to bowl a lot more.
You got to earn your way.
Well, if you lose the first shift Saturday or tomorrow opening day, and you go all the way to the final, you got to bowl 7 matches.
Oh, okay. All right. Now let me ask you this: has this format in the brackets, has it stayed the same all 57 years, or has there been some tweaking to it?
No, they used to bowl a finals on Saturday, and if the loser bracket bowled, they went home, come back on Sunday, and bowled 4 more games.
Oh, okay.
But enter television, they put the bar lights up one year, and the guy said, well, I can't leave these up and have kids climbing on them. So we got together, and they decided he was going to end it all on Saturday and just have the 1 game roll-off. And a lot of the bowlers at that time really didn't like it. But I think it's coming out to the point where the losing bowlers, of all the tournaments they bowled up to that point, Warren was the only bowler that lost out of the winner's bracket on Saturday and come back and won on Sunday. The other 11 times they had it, the losing bowler won Saturday and then turned around and won Sunday.
Wow.
So I think there's more times that the winner's bracket now wins the 5th game roll-off. They'll lose the 4-game match and come back and win the 5th game roll-off than to lose. I think they got more of a winning percentage that way than did at the beginning.
Interesting. Let's take a break here, and then we'll come back and we'll look at who's in the brackets and maybe who some of your favorites are. Not that you're, not that you're picking, right? We're not picking here. We're just talking about who you might think are some of your favorites. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk more about the 57th Annual Bill Rahm Invitational tomorrow at Suburban Lanes with Bill Rahm Jr. and Bill Hansen on the Friday Night Phone Board right after this time out.
This is